You tell me when to start.
Okay, Dina, you're
Whoops.
all set.
All right. Well, for everyone who joins us by recording, you're only hearing my voice because something was wrong with my internet connection, says Zoom. It looks like it's working fine to me, but it was not. Anyway, it was not working. So I'm going to speak by phone, and then Jesse is going to speak in person. And Jesse, just text me if for any reason you're not hearing me or my voice is not coming through the way it wasn't on the screen. But anyway, we're a little behind, so I'm going to jump right in. Welcome to call number 3 of our Rising Stars call. And this is going to begin with knowing why you're doing this. And, we hear that so much that sometimes you can almost just kind of shut that out and go, oh, yeah, I know what she's going to say. Got to know why I'm doing this. But I want to encourage everyone listening live and listening by recording to pretend you've never heard a word about why you're doing this before, and just listen to this like it's the first time. It's one of the most critical skills that we have to know, that we have to have at all times, is really knowing why and how to communicate that in a way that's intriguing to others, in a way that gives them a sip of fresh water that makes them thirsty for more, but not a blast from a fire hose that just drowns them and answers everything they ever wanted to know about Arbonne and didn't want to know. But in a way that casts a vision for the other person about the choices they could have in life. It makes all the difference in the world in this business if we are in constant connection with our why. If we're not, then demands for our time and especially for our focus will pull us away. First for a day, that doesn't seem too bad, but then it gets to be maybe a week, then a month, and our business just doesn't get the attention it needs to create the momentum that it has to have. But if our why is ever before us, then we will find a way to carve out the time. We will make choices to just do it, even when it would be easier not to. This has been called a business of inconvenience, and that's so true, even more so in the early stages. But if we know why, then being inconvenienced and a little stretched at times seems like a much smaller price to pay. So if you have not watched, if you have not watched the Simon Sinek video that's been on our Getting Started page, it's been there the last couple of years, or even if you haven't watched it in the last month, I encourage you to take 5 minutes and watch it again. If you just use the link that's on the Getting Started page, if you go straight to YouTube, I think there's an hour-long version and there's a 5 or 6 minute version. Just watch the 5 or 6 minute version. And it's all about how it's so much easier for us to operate in the sphere of what we do or what we need to do than to operate from the why. So in Arbonne, if we're thinking only in terms of what do I need to do, what do I need to do, we'll just sell products. And I'm a person that operates more like that. I'm the typical female fixer. See something, fix something. But if we know our why and see this business as the vehicle that can change the life of anyone we meet, and we speak about that deeper into that other person, into their innermost circle where they feel deeply, but there is no language. It will make more sense when you listen to Simon Sinek's talk. It won't be hard to listen to. It's very compelling. I hadn't listened to all this type of thing, of course, when I was presented with the business and trying to make the decision, but it makes so much sense now. I think those of you on here have read my Eye on Arbonne story. What my sponsors shared, what I began to read, stirred that sleeping giant inside me. So if we're going to wake up those sleeping giants in others and help them to start dreaming again and help them to realize that they can design the life of their dreams, we have to learn to speak why. And so this is why we wanted to talk about this tonight and have everyone share their why, because it's how we come across at our one-on-ones and at the beginning of our group presentations. I remember coaching a new consultant once on sharing her why. She had a very powerful, meaningful, worthwhile why, and yet after my coaching, she still got into her business launch didn't share it at all and just said, these products were so great. I thought, why not sell them? And do you think that that connected with others? I thought the products were great when I tried them, but it didn't make me want to sell them. Nothing did until somebody reached deeper in to where that sleeping giant was. So people are not going to think, wow, these products are so great, I should sell them. But they will think, wow, I would love to replace my income like she's doing. I'd love to choose how I spend my time each day. I'd love to see my children more than 2 or 3 hours before they go to bed at the end of each day. And absolutely, yes, do we talk about how great our products are and the purity of them? Yes, but that is learn from me, who made all kinds of mistakes my first year, and I talked myself out of sharing my why and casting a vision for the business, thinking these people just want to hear about products. And anyway, enough said on that. You've got to share both. It's not a either or, it's a both and. So with that in mind, we want to go back to the 60-second answer to the question of what do you do? Now we've gone around on this because it's not necessarily to be blurted out in one run-on sentence. 60 seconds is a pretty long answer to the question, what do you do? If the other person is saying, I teach fifth grade, and you have a whole story to tell. But I think that if you're prepared and we practice this over and over and improve it so that we make every word count, these are the things we're going to say in that initial conversation. It may not come out as one sentence, although it does for Jesse and I both, because when we're in network settings where we get about 1 minute to go around a table and share what we do. This has helped both of us so much to really pack each phrase with powerful words. And I use this at the beginning of my group presentations, and I just make sure that these words are sentences, phrases are all stuck in my head. So even in the course of a conversation, it might take 2 or 3 back and forth exchanges, but most of this is going to come out. So we thought, here's where we're going to catch up on time, because the last one I got off the screen, it was just Nadina and Lauren on the call. Are there more now?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Jesse, do you want to share your 60-second first? And then Lauren and Nadina, if you were on last week and, have prepared in this and want to share or just take a stab at it, we'd love to hear yours. And if that really puts you on the spot and you're freaking out, we don't want to put pressure on you. Although, Lauren, I've heard you share yours before, so I might put pressure on you because I know you've got it.
No problem.
So right. I can't hear Lauren. But, all right, Jesse, you go.
Okay, so my husband and I made the conscious choice for me to stay at home with our kids once I got pregnant. I worked full-time, had my MBA, but always knew that I wanted to raise my kids. Fast forward a couple years, my husband can only work so many hours, and we got sick of one daying our life away. And then Arbonne found me, a network marketing company that I never ever thought I would do. But once I researched it, I realized I was just uneducated about the company and the industry, and I had to go for it. What did I have to lose? This business has given me so much more than an income. Replacing a full-time salary with part-time hours is pretty awesome, but more importantly, I'm making a difference in people's lives, showing them that there is a plan B. Life is about relationships we build and the memories we make, and I am living my best life and showing other people that they can.
That was excellent, Jesse. And did y'all hear how, if someone just said to Jesse as they were sitting next to her getting their nails done, what do you do? She's probably not going to say every single word of that in order, but as they continue talking, these are the things, these are the thoughts, these are the power-packed phrases that Jesse would get across, and definitely what she would share at the beginning of a group presentation. Lauren, I know you're coached and trained by Connolly. I know you've worked on this before.
Okay, yeah. So I was a teacher, and I taught for 4 years in elementary school. Then we got pregnant with my first child, Lincoln, and I knew I wanted to stay home with him. just to give a little bit more of why I was so passionate to stay home. My husband is a 2-time double lung transplant recipient, and being with him has really taught me that every day is a gift, and I don't want to take any day for granted. The culture for teaching and for a lot of jobs is to just work for the weekend or work for summer break, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be available to my family. I wanted to be available to serve for God and serve others. So when I heard about Arbonne, I was hesitant because I am not what I thought was a network marketing girl. I'm very introverted and I'm not a salesperson, and I was uneducated. So once I looked into it and understood more about the industry and about the company, I knew I had to take advantage. So I'm able to work from home, be home for my family, and bring in some income. I will soon be able to replace my teacher salary, and that's just the beginning. So this opportunity has provided me with a lot of choices that I never would have had, never dreamed possible as a teacher. And it's really exciting to see where I can go with it.
Lauren, that is awesome. I have heard you share this before, but never that about your husband and the lung transplant.
Yeah, I think that's pretty key, and I just didn't realize like that, that was something worth sharing. But once Connelly we talked about being hope dealers all the time, and I'm like, well, gosh, this is a huge, part
Really?
of dealing hope for others. So, yeah.
That is awesome. That was really, really great. Nadina, you can, no worries if you want to say, catch me another time. We're not putting anyone on the spot. Were you on the call last week, and did you do yours? It's fine if you were not.
It's interesting. No, and I wound up missing the call last week, and the time that I was trying to, well, you don't need to hear the whole story. I planned to listen to the recording and then didn't. I wound up with a sick kid, but I have.
Well, you know what?
I did a little bit of this with Laura. Actually, Laura was doing some training over the summer with some of us. And so I do kind of have a little script, although I'm not great at coming across with it yet. But I can try.
All right. Well, why don't you type it up and send it to me, and I will take a look at that during the week.
Okay. All right. We kind of based them. We listened to the, I know you said to pretend we'd never heard it any of this at all, but we kind of based it on a training from Tamlin Samuels, the 60-second story.
Right. That's what we had assigned last week. Right.
Okay. Perfect. All right. So I have done some of that. So, yeah, I can either talk about it now or if we're
sure. All right. But just be sure and keep it in the 60 seconds. Go ahead. Go for it.
Oh, keep it in the 60 seconds. Well,
in the 60 seconds. That's the key.
That's right. Let's go. Right now, I actually work for a literacy program. I'm a trained teacher, but I work for a literacy program with at-risk toddlers and preschoolers. And we do language boosting activities, and I totally love it because it feels really worthwhile, and I love helping people. And I love to sort of just give some really at-risk families sort of a nudge in a positive direction. But it is a nonprofit organization, and the pay, quite frankly, is not that great. My husband had lost his job about 1.5 years ago, and I was finding myself taking on more and more families and more hours, and having to spend all kinds of time with people, with other families other than my own, and spending less and less time with my own kids just to barely scrape by, quite frankly. But then I found Arbonne. It's a network marketing company, which I never in a million years thought that I would be involved in. But I looked into it and did a little bit of research and kind of educated myself, and I realized I had a lot of misconceptions about it. And once I learned more, I just had to do it. And it's given me hope for the future. It's given me sort of a vehicle to be able to dig us out of the rut that we've been in for a while.
That is great, Nadina. You've definitely done your homework, even if you didn't realize it was last week's homework.
Perfect.
So thank you for sharing that. And you know what? I was going to share mine. If there's time at the end, I will. But Jesse's got some more training for tonight, and I want to make sure that we get that in. So Jesse, why don't you pick up there, and we'll see how much time we have because we had little technical difficulties.
Okay, no problem. So what I am covering now is actually centered around your list. And so when I first started about 2.5 years ago, we started our 100-person lists on scrap pieces of paper, journal, what have you. But now we have this amazing resource, the Ultimate Memory Jogger, which is downloadable, absolutely, and we can send it to you if you don't already have it. Just reach out to your sponsor and ask them for it if you don't. But the Ultimate Memory Jogger is a great resource that you can use, and you can print it out and spiral bind it for a couple bucks at a printing store. And in this book, it talks about, well, the Ultimate Memory Jogger, it gives you 15 blank lined pieces of paper to basically brain dump all of the names of the people that you know down into one list. Don't even think about whether you would even talk to them about Arbonne or not. It's just a matter of just getting it all out onto a piece of paper, and then you can decide your approach and if you want to reach out to them on, product or business or what have you. So it's a great thing to go through. I know Dina probably goes through it often, as do I, because you're constantly meeting new people. And what's great about this is that you can continually add, and you'll always know where this list is versus that scratch piece of paper somewhere. And in here, it gives you 5 or 6 different pages about different basically memory joggers of types of people that you may know that you would never think of. So, members of your family, those you do business with, people you've been associated with in the past, old teachers, former coaches, people who sold you different things, air conditioner, computer, cell phone, things like that. I know someone who is, and then it lists many different professions in here. A lot, multiple pages. And then since we're a global business, it talks about who do you know in these states, and it lists all the states there just to sort of get your memory going, different countries even. One thing that I've definitely learned throughout these couple years in this business is the fact that we are literally 6 degrees separated. So if you don't get your courage up to ask somebody, then guarantee if that person's a quality person, they are going to be asked by somebody else. It happens all the time. I know Lynn Puwana shares, our executive national vice president shares about, I think it was a sorority sister or something that she never asked, and then she ended up on her friend's team. So just a lot of this is centered around fear, and it's really fear of what? Because the worst thing that can happen is somebody saying, no, we're not going to die. So that's something to keep in mind when you're thinking about your list. And really a great exercise is to go to your sponsor and really brainstorm some ideas on how you would approach the people on your list, how you know them, where you know them from, what maybe are some triggers that would get them intrigued about the business or the products, why they would be interested in it, and sort of do your due diligence and your research beforehand so that when you reach out and ask them, then you sort of already have something that you have in mind to say. Another point is as far as adding people to your list. So when I first moved here to Richmond, I'm in Richmond. When I first moved here, I started my business 6 months after I'd moved here, and I knew nobody here. So most of my business in the beginning was started by sending out sample packs to people that I did know in other states, which I think is a big reason why my team is spread out across the Eastern Seaboard. And then so in Richmond, I really had to work on building my list here. So instead of me just telling you a bunch of ideas, what are maybe some things that you've used or some ideas that you have? And then I'll sort of fill in at the end with some of the things that I've done.
Meetup.com.
Mm-hmm.
Going to church, meeting people at church.
Mm-hmm.
What was the first thing you said, Lauren?
Meetup.com is a great
Meetup,
resource.
okay.
Meetup.com. I don't know that one.
Yeah, they have there's literally a group for everything that you could possibly imagine. So the goal really is not to find another target and another number to make money off of. That's not the point of this exercise. The point really is to find like-minded individuals. So find things that you enjoy doing and go do them and meet people that enjoy doing the same things you do. Because just like you have a why, somebody else has a why. They just haven't found Arbonne yet. And the biggest reason why somebody doesn't join a network marketing company is because they were never asked. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard that, but it is so true. So people don't sit around thinking, one day I want to be a network marketing professional, unless you're like my children who have been around it. It's just not something that, I know personally I didn't grow up thinking that. I never thought I would do this. And it really is because we're taught from a very young age how to be employees. We're not taught to have a mind of our own. And so this is something completely out of the box, but it's so doable and it's possible and it's awesome. And this is the best culture you're ever going to experience, in my opinion. So we have such a huge gift to offer, and it sounds cliche sometimes, especially when you first start and you really don't understand what this company is all about fully, truly. But it is amazing. It's one of the best decisions I've ever made. So as far as meeting people, you're not going to meet somebody and then start blurting out your 60-second story. That's just awkward. And number one, nobody likes to be sold to. So if you go for like the jugular and expect to have somebody join your team right when you first meet them, that's kind of creepy. So it's really all about being curious. And Richard Bliss Brooke talks about this in his trainings. He's the one who wrote 4-Year Career, which if you haven't read that yet, that is an amazing book. But he talks about being curious and just asking them questions about what they're talking about. And God gave us 2 ears and a mouth and 1 mouth for a reason, so that we can listen. So, when you're meeting people, just ask them questions about themselves. People love to talk about themselves, and ultimately they will tell you by the end of the conversation why they need Arbonne. It's just a matter of uncovering that. And so other ways that I met people, the gym, trying new fitness classes is another place to meet people. Mom groups, sort of along the same lines as a meetup, but if you're a mom's groups are great. Homeschooling co-ops, and Genevieve jumped on, so I'm sure she can relate to that one too. And then there's like, if you're active in the church, Bible studies is another way that I've met people as well. And just getting out, going shopping, going to the grocery store, going to the mall, going to concerts, wherever there's people. It's a joke that if people have skin and hair, we can help them, but it's so true. It's just a matter of being you and not trying to be anybody else, because someone that might relate to me may not relate to somebody else, and somebody that relates to Lauren won't necessarily relate to me, and that's fine. That's amazing. We get to choose who we get to work with and who we surround ourselves with and spend time with. So just keep that in mind. And I think that about covers what I was going to talk about tonight, Dina.
Well, that was excellent. Of course, it made me think about how you and I met, which apparently I don't need to be talking much longer, which was just when I was helping Carly out at a spa morning for a mommy group that Jesse and Carly were part of. And while we talk a lot about the importance of building the relationship, getting to know someone, I knew I would never be at that mom's group again. And I had one chance to just ask. And if you don't ask, the answer is already a no. And I just felt so strongly that I had to ask Jessie. That I thought, all she can say is, no way. And I simply said, have you ever thought of doing something like this? So when you feel that tug, just ask. Just go on and ask, especially if you're in a room where you're not going to have a chance to build a relationship, to go get coffee, to do anything, have play dates or something, just ask. And again, I didn't go for the jugular and try to sign her up with her feet stuck in a foot spa or I guess back in the kitchen where we were, but just to ask, have you ever thought about doing something like this? And, my life is forever enriched by this very much younger friend who I love dearly. And Jessie, that was an awesome training tonight. And next week I will have to have, I don't know what's wrong with my internet connection, but it's going to have to all be working next week because I am so low. Next week, Jessie will be on the Arbonne cruise, her first Arbonne incentive trip, she and JJ, and I am so excited for you. So you're so deserving. And JJ is going to love Arbonne forever after this cruise. Oh my goodness. I hope all this coughing does not come through as badly as it sounds over here. But I'm going to let you all sign off so that we can keep it still under 30 minutes for those listening to the recording. But thanks for you all who got on live, and I hope the rest of you will enjoy hearing all of this as well. Thanks again. Good night, everyone.
Night, Dina. Thank you, girls.
All right. Good night. Happy cruising, Jessie.
Thank you.
Yay!
Bye.